Good evening, everyone. My name is Afika, and I will be your MC for today. We would like to offer our sincere gratitude to everyone present here for taking time out of your day to attend this session. Okay, and without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Victor Chu on stage for his presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. For this afternoon, that I would like to present the topic entitled "Proactive Cyber Defense Powered by Threat Intelligence." Before I start, I just briefly introduce myself. My name is Victor, and I'm actually currently holding the role of Systems Engineering Head for Kaspersky for Southeast Asia. This is what we have seen throughout the threats landscape and the trends that we have observed since the pandemic has started. A lot realized that during the time of pandemic, since I believe that the COVID-19 issues has begun on March, right? A lot of organizations thinking that many cyber criminals were actually sleeping, right? But if you look into the news, or you can Google the news, right? Even you are talking about in our regions, right? Southeast Asia, right? You can see that the cyber criminals were not actually sleeping, but even become more aggressive. And there are various threats in the threat landscape that has been happening and even aggressively since last year. For instance, you can see a new variants of ransomware, right? Ransomware has arise or has changed from a very commodity type to a very evasive types of attacks took place. You can also see that APT has also been taken place. There's a lot of APT, new APT has arisen, like for example, Revo and JSWorm. You can see that data breaches has also continued to increase, especially in Southeast Asia. You can see that many organizations have been reported to experience the incidents of data breach. And of course, there are other threats or attack landscapes taking place, especially in relates to COVID-19 team related, as well as part of the social engineering techniques. If you are working in a security role, right, or you are part of the organizations that support security roles, you can see that today you can have many platforms with infrastructure that have diverse environment, whereby your applications probably keep on changing, your servers keep on changing, your data centers keep on upgrading, right? But one thing it remains the same is with the diverse environment, the resources that most organization has, right, when it comes to security operations are always limited, right? And it's not only that, but also at the same time, the skills of the resources are also in a way is limited, that you need to upgrade, right? Because the sophistication of the threats or the attacks has also become more sophisticated. So what happened is, with the diverse environment in most organizations, right, you can find that the challenges of the security operations become imminent, right? Imminent in the ways that you just have too many alerts, you just have too many events, and you just have too many incidents. But at the end of the day, with all the alerts, with all the events, and with all the incidents, and in conjunction of the emerging threats, right, that you might know of, right, you do not know, or you rather do not have a timely manner to decide, right, whether these incidents or these events that you have received, right, whether it's false positive or false negative. And this is continue to be what I call a major challenge with many organizations, even during this time of pandemic. And what do we arise when it comes to security operations of challenges, right? Of course, as I mentioned, right, there are just too many alerts or events, right, coming from a different platform when you deploy various security technology in your diverse environment, right? So when all these alerts and events comes, right, You do not know how to distinguish which one is false positive and which one is false negative. As a result, you face a challenge of prioritization issues, right? To decide which security incidents that you should investigate and to respond. Of course, this also leads to a very inefficient incident response, right? And if it's not a false positive and it's a false negative, right? And the timely manner that you respond the incidents, right, might not be in time, right, for you to retaliate or in time for you to recover, and this leads to a very high recovery cost, right? And of course, as I mentioned, right, it's not only in this part of the world. Globally, we have a limit. We have lack of resources when it comes to cybersecurity skills, right? When it comes to resources that involve in cybersecurity operations, right? As a result, with the enormous of the events and the alerts, and then the various security technologies that the organizations deploy, right? You find that the analysts burn out, right? It's just the capability are just not sufficient, right? To adapt the change, right? In terms of managing the cybersecurity operations and managing the cybersecurity risk. And then, of course, a lot of organizations, due to lack of maturity, they do not have a comprehensive threat programs, right? That looks at the security programs development. And then finally, there are emerging threats to talk about targeted attacks, undiscovered threats, right, that lurking around the organization, such as threats related to, like, for example, the dark side ransomware, threats relates to the other organizations that talking about there are software supply chain attack as well. And this is the example of undiscovered threats lurking within the organizations. So what is threat intelligence, right? To sum up, this is what Gartner says, right? Threat intelligence basically provides you what we call evidence-based knowledge, right? And with the evidence-based knowledge, it includes like context, mechanisms, indicator implications, and actionable device. But at the end of the day, the evidence-based knowledge, right, must not just be a knowledge, but can help to inform decisions regarding the subject response to the menace or the hazard, basically the cybersecurity risk. That is what it means by menace or hazard. And this is defined by Rob Macmillan in Gartner in May 2013 reports. So in short, right, threat intelligence is about providing the ability, some sort of mechanism to provide the ability for organizations to leverage intelligence, not just informations, right? Not just threat information, but intelligence to create a proactive cybersecurity defense posture, at the same time informing the organization-wide decisions to reduce cybersecurity risks. So this is the basis of what threat intelligence is all about. So these are the elements of threat intelligence. I believe that in the industry, you are involved in cybersecurity operations, you are involved in some sort of threat hunting, or you are involved in detection and response, right? I'm pretty sure you heard about threat intelligence. And when you talk about threat intelligence, these are the elements of threat intelligence that you need to be aware of. Like, for example, what type of applications that can leverage threat intelligence. We are talking like SIEM, SOA platform, advanced threat detections platform, right? And then when you talk about threat intelligence, the context and the attributions of the threats are very important. So, like, for example, you talk about TTP, right, which I will mention a lot more later. Talk about artifacts, the domains, IP hashes. These are a part of puzzle of what we call context and attributions. And then we talk about relevance, right? The threats informations that I get, right? How is relevant to me? How is relevant to the organizations that I'm working for? How is relevant to the security operations that I support for, right? In terms of group, in terms of industry, in terms of geography. And then, of course, when you talk about the context of attributions of threats, right? What are the process, right? What are their executions, right? How they works, right? And then, of course, the informations that you get, right? How timely it is, that is means by the age. So these are the elements of threat intelligence. There are four areas of threat intelligence that you need to be aware of when you talk about or you relate to the elements of threat intelligence. The first area is the strategic threat intelligence, right? The strategic point of view. A lot of times, right, many organizations, when they implement threat intelligence, right, thinking that the first thing they start is with what we call a FITS, right? I will explain to you more of what do we mean by a FITS, right? And actually, it's not a right approach. The right approach, right, in terms of threat intelligence program, the first you should look at is the strategic point of view. The objective or the goal of the strategic point of view of threat intelligence is basically allow the organizations to understand the changing risks. The risks that the organizations face since the pandemic last year and the risks that organizations change to is facing today, right, is will change, right? We slightly may adapt, right? So they have to know how to improvise, right? To build proactive cybersecurity measures. And this is what we call understanding changing risks, right? And then with the strategic threat intelligence, it also provides you the proactive mitigation strategy, the right proactive mitigation strategy, and also to improve the enterprise security maturity of the organization. So basically, in terms of strategic threat intelligence, the focus area is to look at the digital footprint point of view to provide a visibility of any risk that the organization might know or might not know, right? In terms of network perimeter related threats, right? In terms of any potential data leakage the organizations might face, right? Any information that's been leaked out to darknet, right? Everybody is talking about dark web now, right? Darknet related threats and data leakages. Any source of confidential information relates to organization found to leak on social media, right? And then of course the malware and the targeted relate threats, right? This actually give a very high strategy point of view of the digital footprint adoptions, right, in terms of risk measures, right, wherever there is a changing risk. And this is what strategic threat intelligence is all about, if you see in the slides. The next level is the tactical threat intelligence. The tactical threat intelligence are more low-level informations, right? Low-level in the ways that the informations are very detail-oriented, whereby when you talk about tactical threat intelligence, it talk about four different angles, right? The capabilities angles, right? Basically, what capability means is when the attackers, right, is performing an operations, right? What type of tools and techniques the attackers use, right, to compromise the targets or to do a breach on the network or on the servers or applications, right? And then the infrastructure, right? What are the risks that has taken place? What the exposure has been taken place, right, on the infrastructure on the infrastructure itself due to the attackers' actions, right? Victims. How about the victims, right? What are the backgrounds of the victims, right? The attackers, the specific attackers are targeting on, right? What are their groups, right? Which region? What are the industry that the victims are part of for that specific type of attackers? And then, of course, the adversary itself, the background of the adversaries, right? When you talk about tactical threat intelligence, right, there is an industry frameworks that everybody is adapting, okay, including Kaspersky. We call it material attack frameworks, right? So material attack frameworks, right, actually provide a basis of what we call TTP, right? That is in short. In long, it means tactics or tools, techniques, and procedures. And basically what material attack framework does is it gives you a series of TTP, right, that give you an elaborations of capabilities, advisories, infrastructure, and victims of the attacks incidents, right, or the threat incidents. And this is what tactical threat intelligence information is all about. Is able to provide you these four areas. And that's reason why tactical threat intelligence are more low-level informations. And when I say low-level, it's very detail oriented as well. The next level, it will be operational threat intelligence. There are many organizations also deploy what we call operational threat intelligence, right? Of course, those organizations typically are more mature when they deploy the program of operational threat intelligence that consists of platforms, tools, and some technologies. Basically, with operational threat intelligence program deployment, right, using tools and platforms, right, is actually help the organizations first to quickly identify the actor and the scope behind the attack, right? Secondly, it also allows a mechanism for the organization to find links between different attack campaigns, right? Then, of course, it also provides you a platform to detect and investigate based on the available actionable intelligence on the certain APT or malware family. And then finally, of course, using operational threat intelligence, right, it allows the organizations to evaluate if you are target of an attack of a site of a victim to set up an appropriate containment measures. So these are the things that I've highlighted as part of the operational threat intelligence. So when you talk about operational threat intelligence, basically it gives you actionable intelligence first for you to identify actor and scope, to find the relationship between them, to investigate based on the details of the APT and malware family, and then finally, right, if that organization is a target of a victim, what are the appropriate container measures that needs to be deployed, right? And this is part of what we call operational threat intelligence. Let's go for the final programs or finals of what threat intelligence is all about. We call it technical threat intelligence. And I find that a lot of times many organizations tend to implement this first, and that's why wherever I talk about four areas of threat intelligence, I always start with strategic area of threat intelligence. And technical threat intelligence is the most common that many organizations deploy, and most of them they start with this first. So when we talk about technical threat intelligence, right, what does this area means, right? Basically, you look at the three different approach of what technical threat intelligence is all about. First thing is what we call threat indicators. So with threat indicators, right, using technical threat intelligence, it provides threat indicator, right, to indicate things like indicator of compromise, right, network and host artifacts, right, signatures, right, rules that has been deployed and adopted, right. Nowadays, when you talk about threat intelligence, you talk about threat hunting, right? We are talking about Yara rules, right? So how about the use case? What are the typical use case? Why most of the organizations, right, likes to deploy technical threat intelligence? Of course, if you look at the use case, right, those are very common use case that the industry in the cybersecurity is talking about, right? Detections, correlations, prioritizations, and getting the context, right, when it comes to correlation. These are the typical use cases. So when you talk about technical threat intelligence, the areas of technical threat intelligence, so what it is all related to, right? It relates to threat data feeds, right? So when we talk about threat data feeds, right, you need to think about, like, for example, human intelligence, right? The collections must be human intelligence. It cannot be just machine readable, right? But it has to be human intelligence. This is what Kaspersky has also differentiate, whereby we have a dedicated team called GREAT team, right? Global Research and Development team, right, on APT, right? And this team is part of our human intelligence team as to deliver threat intelligence services. And of course, the threat intelligence feeds that you provide as part of the technical threat intelligence is also machine readable, right? So that it can consume for the use case of detections, correlations, prioritizations, and context, right? Of course, Kaspersky being a cybersecurity provider, also delivering threat intelligence solutions and offerings as well, right? We can't also ignore the open source threat intelligence feeds as well, right? The open source threat intelligence feed is equally important, but at the same time, right, what it brings, the value of technical threat intelligence is it combine what we call the open source threat intelligence feeds aggregated with the commercial threat intelligence feed to provide you a true value of what technical threat intelligence is all about, right? And then, of course, this is where we talk about sharing and collaboration. When you talk about technical threat intelligence, to build the real value of sharing and collaborations, right? Using STIX, Taxi, and JSON, and these are the industry frameworks, right, to share and to collaborate, right, in the area of technical threat intelligence. And this is what technical threat intelligence is all about. Just like the operational areas of threat intelligence, this is also quite low levels that provides you the low levels informations of threat intelligence as well. So let's look at, without going through details of what Kaspersky can provide. So as I mentioned, there are 4 areas of threat intelligence, which Kaspersky has offerings that we can offer to our customers. The 4 areas are strategic, tactical, operational, and technical, right? And you can see that each of these areas, right, we have different stakeholders as well, right? So these are the 4 stakeholders that are available, right, for different areas of threat intelligence, right? And these are also some of the solutions that Kaspersky offers when it comes to the 4 areas of Kaspersky threat intelligence. So basically, Kaspersky also provides organizations with threat intelligence reporting. For them, if they want to increase or improve the maturity of an organization in terms of the tactical areas of threat intelligence, and also the operational areas of threat intelligence. So part of the threat intelligence reporting that Kaspersky provides, like for example, we do have actionable threat intelligence information relates to vulnerability, relates to threat landscape, relates to advisory, special advisory, and also specific to APT or targeted campaigns. So when you talk about threat intelligence, right, how do we deploy threat intelligence, right? This is just some sort of what we call high-level framework maturity. So basically, I'm not sure whether you heard of this term, what we call intelligence-driven security operations maturity. So basically, threat intelligence can be deployed with various manner, and that's why you see that threat intelligence is the centerpiece, right, with for all the components within the intelligence-driven security operations. But because it's a maturity, so level 1 maturity, typically organization will use threat intelligence for security operations and management and risk and vulnerability management. And that as you grow further up, right, threat intelligence can be deployed for organizations for the purpose of monitoring and detection, especially if organizations have SOC, right, and also for reporting purposes. And then, of course, nowadays, with the rise of the evasive threat and targeted campaign in the threat landscape, every organization is talking about threat hunting and incident response. And this is the level 3 maturity, or what we call the highest maturity, whereby you can leverage threat intelligence for the purpose of threat hunting and incident response. So just bear with me with the last 2 slides. So basically, Kaspersky is not new. When it comes as a cybersecurity provider, we have been working with many national SOC, many CSRT, and also the police and enforcement agencies targeted on cybersecurity. And this is a slide to show you the enforcement agencies that Kaspersky has been working with globally as well. These are the recognitions that Kaspersky has also gained throughout the years being a cybersecurity threat intelligence providers. Like for instance, we have strategic partnership to work with Interpol and Europol. We also have been recognized by, for instance, Gartner, Forrester as part of the threat intelligence provider as well. So this is the recognitions that Kaspersky has gained as being a threat intelligence provider. So before I end my sessions, I just want to quickly show you a demo that we have. It's a short demo. So basically, the demo scenario is based on the strategical threat intelligence information. The cybersecurity operations or the incident response team receive threat information that there is a mass mailing of a COVID-19 news bulletin or phishing email. So an incident is open, it goes to a security operations team. The security operations team start to do investigation, right? There are various tools that is part of what we call operations threat intelligence, and then it goes to the threat hunting team to assist them, and then finally they provide a post-incident analysis, right? So this is what I want to show you with a short demo. It is a video demo that captured from live demo, but I will narrate it. So basically, this is the threat intelligence portal that the organization subscribe to Kaspersky Threat Intelligence. As I say, this demo scenario is the cybersecurity operations team or the incidents team has received a report through a strategic threat intelligence to inform that the organization are exposed to a mass mailing of information related to COVID-19, right? And this is the service is called digital footprint. So let's start. So the organization received the notification. So the next is the organization goes to the digital footprint to check what is this latest threat notifications that the organization has received, right? In the digital footprint, right, this threat findings that has been delivered by Kaspersky to the organizations is all contained in the detail of the report, right? But at the same time, it gives you a dashboard view, right, to categorize, right, the type of threats, right, based on severity, right, whether it's critical, high, medium, and low, right? Of course, in the sample scenario, right, is the incidents, right, is a critical severity. So the security operations team, right, or the cyber risk team of the organization start to check what is this critical risk is all about. So when they check, right, they see that there are malicious samples that has been distributed via a mass fake mailing to the organization. And there are few sample MD5 that is being provided as part of the Kaspersky. But of course, the detailed informations are being contained inside the threat intelligence report, right? So the this incident goes to the cybersecurity risk operations team. So the level 1 or level 2 analysts, right, start to do investigation, right? So with the malicious file, right, it actually use the tool, what we call Cloud Sandbox, which is part of the operational threat intelligence to do investigations, right? So what the Cloud Sandbox does, it allows you to detonate the files, right? Even though you are not sure the files, to determine whether the files is malicious or not. And with the detonations, right, it also provides you detailed information, right? If the malicious file is malicious, right, or is related, is infected, right? What are the details informations that it can provide, right? Is there any chain of attack, right, in terms of that malicious file that is being detonated or executed? So basically, it is showing it now, right? So it shows the configuration, how can we configure to detonate and the files and then to perform analysis and investigation. So the Cloud Sandbox start running the analysis and to detonate the malicious file that obtained from the mass mailing of the COVID-related documents or file that received. So it shows that there are malware infected. So let's go to the details of the detonation or the analysis, right? We call it verdict analysis. So basically, it shows that there are 10 extracted files that come from this hash. And also, there are 6 malware that has been detected, right? There are 6 malware that has been detected. It relates to this malicious file. So for instance, you want to know the background of this malware family, you can click the details and it will actually shows a high level background of this related malware, right? At the same time, it can shows that how during the detonation, it also pre-record the entire queue chain of this document, right? How this document through the mass mailing infect infected the endpoint, right? Depends where it opens, right? So there is a associated document, right? Inside the associated document, the social engineering that use is there are message or information content related to WHO, Mongolia Ministry of Health, right? Obviously, when they receive these informations, most of the users are curious to know what is it all about, right? Especially when we are still in the midst of pandemic, right? And this is one of the most successful tactics of what we call social engineering attacks, right? So it shows you all the Q chain attack, right? You can also see what are the additional files that's being extracted. So with all the additional files that are being extracted, right? Of course, there are 6 malware that's been identified, 2 malware that has been identified that are related to APT, right? Advanced persistent threat. So again, you use another tool, what we call threat lookup. So with threat lookup, basically it gives you a details of that particular APT malware, right? And the threat lookup is also part of what we call operational threat intelligence. So basically, it gives you a details report about what is this malware about to form your investigations, right? So it shows that this malware is trying to access many links, and one of these links, right, they contain many malware, and one of these malware called exploit Win32 shellcode, right, has 1,000 entries, right? And not only that, Kaspersky also provide this is tactical approach whereby it is confirmed that this malware is APT, but what type of APT? And this malware is Iron Husky. The APT that is identified is Iron Husky, and APT. This is a tactical approach of threat intelligence whereby this APT is normally associated with what we call convict team malicious document, right? So this is where we links it all together from a strategic point of view to operational point of view to technical point of view and then to operational point of view of threat intelligence, right? And of course, if you do threat hunting, it can also give you some sort of what we call APT actor profile, right? You can do profiling to understand more. We also provide report as part of the strategic the part of the tactical threat intelligence in terms of the report as well. So sorry for being rushed this, since we have time constraint. So with this, I just want to end my demo and also end my presentation. So I'm not too sure if you have any questions that you want to ask. Feel free to ask. Otherwise, there are email that's being flagged. You can also email those to those email that's being given in the screen if you have any additional detailed questions that you want to ask about Kaspersky threat intelligence later. With that, thank you very much.